Good morning. Happy Wednesday. I was on a call. I just finished my call. It looks like we have verdicts in the Brooks case. I am going to pull up I'm going to pull that up. The judge and the jury are going, or the judge is going through the verdict forms. It's going to take a minute to go through those verdict forms. Why? Because there are 76 of them. It is likely, it's possible that the verdict forms will not be filled out completely or correctly. Brooks has been arguing with the court this morning. We will go back and talk about what happened this morning in a minute. I'm going to share screen and go into the courtroom now, and we will come back and talk about all the rest of it in just a moment. So the judge is going through all those verdict forms, and I am surprised at how quickly they got this done. I am sure this is why they took their time last night to go through exhibits. To what I saw, they did not ask for any exhibits this morning. Oh, and of course this isn't working well. For what I saw, they did not go through any exhibits this morning and just got to verdict forms. I wonder if they took some votes last night and decided to do the verdict forms this morning. The judge is going through each and every form to make sure it's filled out properly. We saw this again in the Depp v. Heard case. So for those of you that are new, I'm Emily D. Baker, lawyer. Verdicts haven't been read yet. There's already been things this morning. He said he wasn't going to change into civilian clothes, and here he is in civilian clothes. Remember, we have 76 counts to go through. The first counts are the homicides. Then the counts are the causing danger, then all the other things. So I have not even sent out that I am live anywhere. I'm going to go ahead and do that now. And here we are. I literally just got off a Zoom call and was like, oh, got it. Run. Did I possibly spell verdict wrong on the thumbnail?
There are 76 signed verdicts and 76 unsigned verdicts.
Perfect. That's what you need. That's exactly what we need. Anybody nervous? Getting verdicts in is a lot. It's going to take a while to read these.
Each one into the record.
So it's going to take a minute.
We, the jury.
All right, here we go.
Defendant,
verdicts.
Darrell E. Brooks, guilty.
Yep.
First degree intentional
This will
homicide.
probably be all guilties.
Charged in count 1 of the information.
Yep.
Dated this 26th.
It's done,
day
sir.
Of October 2022.
That's going to be, I imagine this will be all guilties.
Juror number 11. If you find the defendant guilty of first degree intentional homicide, answer the following question, yes or no. Did the defendant commit first degree intentional homicide while using a dangerous weapon? Answer yes.
Yep. And then we're going to do a lot of that.
The jury find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree intentional homicide as charged in count 2 of the information.
This was faster than I thought.
Did the defendant commit first degree intentional homicide while using a dangerous weapon? Answer yes.
Hell, you piece of shit.
Hey,
Oh,
you are to be
shit.
removed right now. You will not do that.
Oh, shit. You guys asked about this yesterday. Would there be any outbursts in the crowd?
We, the jury, find the defendant.
And there was.
Darrell E. Brooks, guilty.
And there was.
First degree intentional homicide.
Just now.
Charged in count 3 of the information. And I should state as to count 2, it was signed and dated by the foreperson, same as to count 3. Did the defendant commit?
This is going to be a long time to sit here.
While using a dangerous weapon? Answer yes.
He is sitting
We,
stoically.
the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty.
That would have
First
been an
degree
observer as my
intentional
guess,
homicide
but
as
we'll
charged in
learn
count
from
4 of
Twitter
the
later.
information. Dated this 26th day of October 2022, signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first degree intentional homicide while using a dangerous weapon? Answer yes.
Wow.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree intentional homicide as charged in count 5 of the information, dated today's date and signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first degree intentional homicide while using a dangerous weapon? Answer yes.
What count are we on for?
We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree intentional homicide as charged in count 6 of the information, dated today's date.
Okay, that's all
signed
the
by
homicides.
foreperson. Did the defendant commit first degree intentional homicide while using a dangerous weapon? Answer yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 7 of the information, dated
It's going to be
today's
a
date and signed by
long
the foreperson.
reading.
Did the defendant commit first degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer Yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree recklessly endangering safety
Yep.
as charged in count 8 of the information. Dated
He's-
today's date and signed by the foreperson.
The after verdict is what's going to be very
Did the
interesting
defendant
here.
commit first degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes.
Me being on a Zoom call, not looking at my
We, the
phone
jury,
because I'm all
find the
engaged in what I'm
defendant,
doing and
Darrell E.
shit.
Brooks, guilty of first degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 9 of the information. Dated today's date, signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes.
So these are all going to be guilty.
We, the
Um,
jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 10 of the information. Dated today's date and signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 11 of the information. Dated today's date, signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 12 of the information. Dated today's date, signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first
Today
degree
is
recklessly endangering
wild.
safety while using a dangerous weapon?
It's all,
Answer, yes.
they're all just going to be guilty.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree.
Yes, these are
recklessly
stacks of
endangering
verdicts. These are
safety
verifiable
as
stacks of
charged in
verdicts,
count
chat. I
13
see
of the
you.
information. Dated today's date, signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant
Yeah, I
commit
think-
first
I
degree
think you're right,
recklessly
Andrew.
endangering safety
I think they
while using a
decided
dangerous
verdicts
weapon?
yesterday and
Answer,
decided to do all, they
yes.
looked at the stack of paperwork and went, fuck
We,
that,
the
we'll do that
jury,
tomorrow.
find the
I think
defendant,
so.
Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 14 of the information. Dated today's date, signed by the foreperson.
There was
Did the
absolutely an
defendant
outburst.
commit
We'll talk about it at
first
the break.
degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon?
Oh, the person who yelled was
Answer,
immediately kicked out.
yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 15 of the information. Dated today's date, signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit
After the
first
verdicts come
degree
in,
recklessly endangering
I'll talk
safety
about
while
this
using a dangerous weapon? Answer,
with the hit and
yes.
runs.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 16 of the information. Dated today's date, signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant guilty of first degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 17 of the information. Dated today's date, signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 18 of the information. Dated today's date, signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 19 of the information. Dated today's date, signed by the foreperson.
I'm glad to see that
Did
he
the
is
defendant
stoic
commit
in
first
court
degree recklessly endangering
and not
safety
acting
while
out.
using a dangerous weapon?
We will see what happens when the
Answer,
jury leaves.
yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 20 of the information. Dated today's date, signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the
Try to
jury,
turn the court
find the
volume up a little.
defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 21 of the information. Dated today's date, signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon?
That froze my
Answer,
feed.
yes. We,
Sorry,
the
y'all, that
jury,
froze my
find the
feed.
defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first-degree recklessly
More
endangering
guilties.
safety as charged in count 22 of the information. Dated today's date, signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first-degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first-degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 23 of the information. Dated today's date, signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first-degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first-degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 24 of the information.
Alicia,
Dated
this is a good
today's
point.
date, signed
They
by
might
the
have decided
foreperson.
yesterday, and we're just
Did the
talking about the
defendant
battery
commit
charge.
first-degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the
All
jury,
the weapon
find the
charges,
defendant, Darrell E. Brooks,
They had to be.
guilty of first-degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 25 of the information. Dated today's date and signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first-degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant,
No, there could be
Darrell
not
E.
guilties
Brooks,
in there.
guilty of first-degree
These are
recklessly
in
endangering
order
safety
of
as
count.
charged in count 26 of the information. Dated today's date, signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first-degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first-degree recklessly endangering safety
I'm sure
as
everyone's
charged in
glad this
count
is done.
27 of the information. Dated today's date, signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first-degree recklessly endangering
I'm sure
safety
he will be,
while
but
using a dangerous weapon?
in some
Answer,
jurisdictions, that's
yes.
true.
We, the jury,
After
find
a
the
verdict,
defendant, Darrell
matter
E.
what.
Brooks, guilty of first-degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 28 of the information. Dated today's date, signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first-degree recklessly
Yeah, I'm sure
endangering
he's feeling
safety
it.
while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes.
I think this will be a
We,
full
the
sweep.
jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first-degree recklessly endangering safety as charged
I
in
tweeted
count
about the
29
Reddit stuff
of the
this morning.
information. Dated today's date, signed by the foreperson.
And I will try to
Did
get
the
to questions
defendant
after
commit
this.
first-degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes.
After the jury leaves, they're going to
We,
have
the
to
jury,
arrange
find the
sentencing.
defendant, Darrell
He
E. Brooks,
tends
guilty
to
of first-degree recklessly
hold it together
endangering
in front of the
safety
jury
as charged in count 30
and lose it
of
outside the presence
information.
of the jury. So
Dated today's date,
we'll see what
signed by the
happens.
foreperson. Did the defendant commit first-degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon?
Carolyn, he
Answer,
might have
yes.
thought
We, the
that
jury,
he did
find the
something.
defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first-degree
The jury will be
recklessly endangering
excused from
safety
service after
as
this.
charged in count 31 of the information. Dated today's date, signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first-degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes.
He is. He's wearing
We, the
his
jury,
suit
find the
over his
defendant,
jumpsuit.
Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first-degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 32 of the information. Dated today's date, signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first-degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the
Victim
jury,
impact
find
statements
the
will be on the
defendant,
sentencing
Darrell E.
day.
Brooks,
Sentencing will be
guilty of
decided after
first-degree
this.
recklessly endangering safety as charged in
Everyone's
count
going to need the rest of the day
33
to sleep.
information. Dated today's date, signed by the
He will not
foreperson.
be sentenced today.
Did the defendant commit first-degree recklessly
It wouldn't be fair to the
endangering
victims for
safety
him to be
while
sentenced
using a
today.
dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first-degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 34 of the information. Dated today's date, signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first-degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first-degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 35 of the information. Dated today's date, signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first-degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, Yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree recklessly endangering
They
safety.
did talk about
as
Reddit
charged
this
in
morning.
count
We'll talk
36
about
of the
that
information
after the verdicts are in
dated
and
today's
after
date,
court
signed by
settles.
the foreperson.
I'm going to be very
Did
late
the
to my next
defendant
call.
commit first degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty
It
of
can
first
vary
degree
courtroom to
recklessly
courtroom.
endangering safety. as
Sometimes it's
charged
the
in count
clerk,
37 of
sometimes it's the
information
foreperson, sometimes it's the judge.
dated today's date, signed by the
That can vary
foreperson.
within county and within courtroom
Did
to
the
courtroom
defendant
within a county.
commit first degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes.
And
We,
the
jury,
DAs
find the defendant,
are
Darrell E.
appropriately
Brooks,
stoic,
guilty
as
of
they
first
should be.
degree recklessly endangering safety.
They're just sitting there
as
marking
charged in
G's
count
down on the
38
charging
of the
sheet.
information dated today's date, signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes.
Once we get into
We, the jury,
60,
find the defendant,
charge 60
Darrell
plus
E.
plus,
Brooks, guilty of first degree
is when we'll see the bail
recklessly endangering
jumping
safety
and then the
as
battery
charged in
on his
count
ex
39
at the
of
end.
information
So we've got a lot
dated
of charges
today's
to go.
date, signed by the foreperson. Did
Super
the
chats that
defendant
don't have a
commit
question, I'll
first
pull up,
degree recklessly
as long as they're
endangering
not hateful,
safety while using
and
a
then we'll go
dangerous
from there.
weapon? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 40 of the information dated today's date, signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 41 of the information dated today's date, signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 42 of the information dated today's date and signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 43 of the information dated today's date, signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree
Yep.
recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 44 of the information dated today's date.
All right, we're on
signed by the
44
foreperson.
of the recklessly
Did the
endangering
defendant
safety of all
commit
those at the
first
parade
degree
route.
recklessly endangering safety while using
He
a
has been
dangerous
found guilty
weapon?
of all
Answer,
of the first degree
yes.
murders. And we'll go
We,
from
the
there.
jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 45 of the information dated today's date and signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 46 of the information dated today's date and signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first degree recklessly endangering
I think he thought he could
safety
get away with
while
this.
using a dangerous weapon?
He can have an
Answer,
attorney on appeal,
yes.
even though he represented himself. He cannot appeal
We, the
that
jury,
his counsel
find the defendant,
was
Darrell
ineffective.
E. Brooks,
He can't
guilty
appeal on that.
of first degree recklessly
Bailiff is still
endangering
stoic.
safety as charged in count 47 of the information.
I'll be interested
dated
to see what
today's
Shanley
date and
Painter
signed by
from
the
Court TV
foreperson.
says about the jury's
Did the
demeanor.
defendant commit first
this
degree
case,
recklessly
as
endangering
these came in.
safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes.
And I'll just let you know, I hope he doesn't lash out after
We,
this.
the
I
jury,
hope
find the defendant,
that there is not
Darrell
an
E.
outburst.
Brooks,
I hope he
guilty
marks his record for
of first
appeal like
degree
an attorney
recklessly
would,
endangering
and then they
safety
go
as
on.
charged in count 48 of the information dated today's date, signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first-degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 49 of the information, dated today's date and signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first-degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon?
No, I think
Answer,
he is feeling the weight of all of this
We, the jury,
and
find the
trying to keep it
defendant,
together.
Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first-degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 50 of the information. dated
These
today's
deputies are
date
going to be very
and signed by the
much
foreperson.
on high alert.
Did the defendant commit first-degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first-degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 51 of the information,
After
dated today's date and signed by the
the
foreperson.
sentencing is done, after
Did the
the
defendant
verdicts are
commit
read, after the jury's
first-degree
out of the
recklessly
courtroom,
endangering
after all of
safety
that,
while using a dangerous
we will
weapon?
probably
Answer,
get a discussion on a
yes.
sentencing date. However, the
We,
court
the jury,
said
find the
yesterday
defendant,
they will
Darrell E.
have a
Brooks,
sentencing conference
guilty
on
of
October
first-degree
31st
recklessly
and then
endangering
set a
safety
sentencing date.
as charged in count
I
52
imagine
of
that
the
they will do
information,
that, especially if
today's
he's
date and
disruptive
signed by
after
the
the jury
foreperson.
leaves, that they will
Did
just
the
keep
defendant
that
commit
October 31st
first-degree
date to
recklessly
set
endangering
a sentencing
safety
date.
while using a
That
dangerous
will
weapon?
not be the sentencing date.
Answer,
That will be the
yes.
sentencing conference. They need to give the
We,
the
the
victim's
jury,
families
find the
time
defendant, Darrell E.
and the
Brooks,
victim's time
guilty of first-degree
to
recklessly
prepare
endangering
for victim
safety
impact
as
statements.
charged in count 53 of
They
the
need the court to
information,
clear their schedule
dated
for
today's
possibly a
date
couple
and
days
signed by the foreperson.
um,
Did the defendant commit
for it.
first-degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon?
Look,
Answer,
those asking about his
yes.
sentence is going to be all. His
We,
sentence
the
is going to
jury,
be
find the defendant,
life
Darrell E.
and
Brooks,
life and life, but
guilty
likely
of first-degree
hundreds and hundreds of
recklessly
years
endangering
to life
safety
plus
as
life
charged in
plus
count
life.
54
So
of
he
the
will have
information,
multiple, I imagine,
dated today's
multiple
date and signed by
consecutive
the
life
foreperson.
sentences.
Did the defendant commit
That's what
first-degree
I would do.
recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the
This
jury,
verdict came
find
back
the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks,
just under a
guilty
year
of
of when this
first-degree
happened.
recklessly endangering
That is
safety
very,
as
very
charged in
fast.
count 55 of the information,
So the
dated today's
anniversary
date
of
and signed
all
by
of
the
this
foreperson. Did the
killing,
defendant commit first-degree
they
recklessly
know
endangering safety
that the person who did
while
it has
using a
been held
dangerous
responsible.
weapon? Answer,
That is a rare thing in our
yes.
criminal system, that at the 1 year mark,
We, the jury,
there
find the
is an
defendant,
answer.
Darrell
Well,
E. Brooks,
there is a
guilty of
verdict.
first-degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 56 of the
I still think there's not answers.
dated today's date and signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first-degree recklessly endangering
This jury
safety
deliberated
while using a dangerous weapon? Answer,
for like an hour and 45
yes.
minutes last night while fuckery was happening.
We,
And
the
then they
jury,
came back at
find the
8:30 this
defendant,
morning.
Darrell E. Brooks,
I don't know
guilty
exactly what
of
time they
first-degree
notified they had a
recklessly
verdict, but then
endangering
the judge gave
safety
time for the
as
verdicts to
charged in
start being
count
read at
57
10:45
of the
a.m. Central.
information,
So
dated today's
not
date
long
and signed by
at
the
all,
foreperson.
just a handful of
Did
hours.
the defendant commit first-degree recklessly
This is not a
endangering
death
safety
penalty
while using a
jurisdiction.
dangerous weapon?
So this is
Answer,
multiple life
yes.
sentences. Life and life and life and life and life.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E.
Well,
Brooks,
Court TV takes commercials.
of first-degree recklessly endangering safety
They do it to
as charged
themselves.
in count 58 of the information, dated today's date and signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first-degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks,
So yeah, she was
guilty
notified
of
at
first-degree
9:45,
recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 59 of the information.
and then they gave an hour to
dated
get there.
Today's date and
So
signed
what?
by the foreperson.
3 hours?
Did the defendant commit first-degree recklessly endangering safety while
Depends
using a
how he's
dangerous
sentenced.
weapon?
But if it's
Answer,
multiple concurrent life
yes.
sentences, no. And if it's like 300 years to
We,
life,
the
he wouldn't be
jury,
eligible
find
for
the
parole
defendant,
until after he
Darrell E. Brooks,
is
guilty
deceased.
of first-degree
So I think it's
recklessly
unlikely that he'll
endangering
get parole
safety
ever.
as charged in count 60 of the information, dated today's date and signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first-degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first-degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 61 of the information, dated today's date and signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 62 of the information.
Carrie,
dated
this is
today's
sad
date and signed by the foreperson.
because at the end of the
Did the
day,
defendant commit first degree recklessly
him
endangering
being punished for
safety
what he
while
did
using a dangerous
doesn't
weapon?
undo what he did.
Answer, yes.
It's a heavy day. None of this had to happen.
We, the
none of
jury,
it.
find the defendant,
And so he goes to
Darrell
prison.
E. Brooks, guilty of first
His
degree
kids have to
recklessly
visit their
endangering
father in
safety
prison.
as charged in count
6
63
families
of
have
the
lost loved
information.
ones, and countless other
Dated
families,
today's
thousands
date
of other
and
families
signed
are
by the
impacted.
foreperson.
This is sad.
Did the defendant
Yes,
commit
it feels
first
like
degree
justice,
recklessly endangering
but
safety
it doesn't bring
while using a
anyone
dangerous
back.
weapon?
It's just,
Answer,
it's
yes.
just heavy. So
We, the jury, find the defendant,
that's why
Darrell
it
E.
feels sad,
Brooks,
I think.
guilty of first degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in
I'll
count
answer that when we get a
64 of the
break.
information. Dated today's date and signed by the foreperson.
We
Did
should
the
be,
defendant commit first degree recklessly endangering safety?
we're
while
almost done
using
with
a
these
dangerous
counts.
Weapon? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree.
I think he had a lot of
recklessly
false hope in this
endangering
case.
safety as charged in count 65. of the
Possibly matched with a
information.
lot of
Dated today's date and
hubris.
signed by the foreperson. Did the defendant commit first degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes.
He might have tried that before the jury came in. Once the jury was in,
We, the
he was
jury, find
quiet.
the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree
Kim, he's
recklessly
not
endangering
allowed to
safety
appeal
as charged in
for
count 66 of the
his
information.
lawyer. He's not allowed to
Dated today's
appeal
date and
arguing
signed by the
ineffective
foreperson.
assistance of counsel
Did
because
the
he was his
defendant
counsel.
commit first degree recklessly endangering safety while using a dangerous weapon? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of first degree recklessly endangering safety as charged in count 67
I think the charge
of
at the
information.
end,
Dated today's
I don't know if
date
it's a
and signed by the
misdemeanor, but there is
foreperson.
a charge at the end for the
Did the
battery that
defendant
happened
commit
before all of
first
this
degree
against
recklessly
his
endangering
ex
safety
and the mother
while
of
using a
his
dangerous
at least
weapon?
one child.
Answer, yes.
Tina Lynn, you put it better than I did.
We,
The weapon
jury,
in this case
find
is the car.
defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of hit and run as
Okay, here's
charged
the
in
hit and run counts.
68 of the information.
So 68 through
Did
70
the accident involve
Three
death to Virginia Sorensen?
is hit and run causing death.
Answer, yes. Dated today's date and signed by the foreperson.
We'll talk about the hit and runs causing death after.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of hit and run as charged in count 69 of the information. Dated today's date and signed by the foreperson.
I think he said that as the
Did
jury
the
was coming
accident
into the
involve death to
heard
Leanna
him.
Owen? Answer, yes.
He can absolutely ask to have the jury polled.
We, the jury,
I
find
don't
the
think they'll
defendant,
poll independently for
Darrell
each
E.
count.
Brooks, guilty of hit and run as charged in count 70 of the information.
Yeah,
Dated
he has
today's
shocks
date
on.
And signed by the foreperson. Did the accident involve death to Tamara Durand? Answer, yes.
He will not be
We,
free
the
again.
jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of hit and run as charged in count 71 of the information. Dated today's date and signed by the foreperson. Did the accident involve death to Jane Kulik? Answer, yes.
Thank you, chat. You guys are the best.
We,
It is.
the
It's
jury,
heavy.
Find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of hit and run as charged in count 72 of the information.
So far, he's guilty
Dated
on every
today's
single
date
count.
And signed by the foreperson. Did the accident involve death to Wilhelm Hospital? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks, guilty of hit and run as charged in count 73 of the information. Dated today's date and signed by the foreperson. Did the accident involve death to Jackson Sparks? Answer, yes. We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks,
It's a lot of charges.
guilty of bail jumping as charged in count 74 of the information.
He was out on bail
dated
when this
today's
happened.
date and
That's
signed
the
by
bail
foreperson.
jumping.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Darrell E. Brooks,
He
guilty
asked if they
of
were
bail jumping
necessary,
as
the
charged
shock
in count
collars or the
75
shock
of the information.
ankle restraints.
Dated today's date and signed by the foreperson.
Playing Bruce Springsteen.
Oh my God.
We, the jury, find the defendant,
Siri!
Darrell E. Brooks, guilty
Echo!
of battery as
Cancel!
charged in count 76
Echo.
of the information. Dated today's date
Oh my
and
God,
signed
Echo, cancel.
by the foreperson.
My Echo is possessed and it's playing Bruce Springsteen. I'm gonna get a copyright claim. Echo!
Mr. Brooks, would you like me to poll the jury?
Would you like me to poll the jury? I'm sorry. That was so
Members
rude.
of the jury, I'm going to ask
All
each one
guilty.
of you individually to stand up, identify your number for the record,
So she's polling the
and
jury
then state
anyway.
whether the verdicts read in open court are your true verdicts. I'll start with the foreperson. I'll read your numbers first, so it's a little bit easier.
And there's
Start
the
your number
anger.
11.
The Echo just,
Were the verdicts read in
went
open court? Or
nuts.
are the verdicts? Let me rephrase that.
that was so
The
strange.
verdicts read in open court, are those your true verdicts?
Yes.
Thank you. Juror number
She is
3.
polling the jury.
The verdicts read in open court, are those your true verdicts?
Yes.
Thank you. Juror number 6. The verdicts read in open court.
Oh, he's
are
looking
those
at the
your
jury
true
now.
verdicts?
It is.
Thank you. Juror number 14. The verdicts read in open court, are those your true verdicts?
Yes.
Thank you. Juror number 19. The verdicts read in open court, are those your true verdicts?
Count 76 was for
Thank you.
Erica.
Juror number
Everything was
27.
guilty.
The verdicts
Guilt.
read in open court, are those your true verdicts?
Yes.
So because he wouldn't respond,
Juror
she's
number
just polling the
34.
jury to be safe.
The verdicts read in open court, are those your true verdicts?
Yes.
Thank you. Juror number 41. The verdicts read in open court, are those your true verdicts?
Yes.
Thank you. Juror number 45. The verdicts read in open court, are those your true verdicts?
Yes.
Thank you. Juror number 46. The verdicts read in open court, are those your true verdicts?
Yes.
Thank you. Juror number 48. The verdicts read in open court, are those your true verdicts?
They are, Your Honor.
Thank you. Juror number 51. The verdicts read in open court, are those your true verdicts?
Yes.
Thank you. I should state for the record, I did have the alternates brought back in. Obviously, they
Good.
did not deliberate, but
They
it
should
was
hear,
important to
they
have
should
them
hear
because
the
there are certain
verdict.
instructions I give at the end.
they deserve closure too.
All right, Mr. Brooks, are you satisfied with the polling of the jurors?
He's not going to answer.
No.
I'm sorry?
He's not satisfied.
The court is so satisfied with the polling of the
He's
jurors.
not going to acquiesce to anything. He's guilty
The
on all
court
counts.
Now accepts the verdicts. Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of myself, the citizens of Waukesha County,
She's going to
and
thank and
both parties
excuse the
here,
jury.
I want to thank you for the time and attention that you've spent on this case. Your service in this case is now concluded. There's no requirement that you maintain secrecy concerning what happened in the jury room, but you do not have to discuss the case
They're
with
allowed
anyone
to.
or answer any questions about it. On behalf, again, of the court and all of the parties, we thank you for your service over the last 3.5 weeks. You are
It's a long-
discharged and free to go.
Not as long as some
All rise
cases,
for
but
the
a
jury,
long case
please.
nonetheless. He rose for the jury, which surprises me. It's a respectful sign of decorum that I think a lot of defendants probably would not do after that many guilty verdicts. Which is interesting. All right, so those of you just joining us, I see we've got over 35,000. Darrell Brooks is
Thank you.
guilty
Be
on all
seated.
charges.
Anything
There's
from
some,
the state at this time?
the jury's
Your Honor, the
out.
state moves for judgment on the verdict as to each and every count.
There are some post-verdict matters that will have to be
Anything from you,
addressed.
Mr. Brooks?
We're going to keep.
What is
No,
judgment?
no, 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 no. What in the way my heart just stopped.
Given the verdicts from the jury here today. The court will enter
I feel it.
judgments
My
of
heart just went
conviction based
whoop.
upon the verdicts on all 76 counts.
He's going to get back to
Court will
games.
also revoke bond. In this case, I plan on bringing the case in Monday, this coming Monday, the 31st at 1 p.m. to address further scheduling.
I'll be here. I hope
What I
it'll be
would ask the
streamed.
parties to do between now and then is to determine how long you think each side will need to present their sentencing remarks, whether you anticipate anyone speaking on your behalf. If so, how many, how long, so that I can then look at my calendar and adjust and make sure that I have the appropriate amount of time to do that. I'm not going to sentencing on Monday. It is just
No.
for further
Scheduling.
scheduling at 1 p.m. before my afternoon case.
Judge, would you be willing to consider persons appearing by Zoom for sentencing?
Yes, I would
So they don't have to be in the courtroom
Not-
with him.
do anything different than what I've been doing since we started utilizing Zoom, and that is to make it available for both victims and family members of the defendant if they so choose to make statements over Zoom.
Okay, thank you. That
You're welcome.
helps us in our planning.
All right. All right, then. Thank you, everyone. We are adjourned for today. We'll
And
see
that's
you all
it?
on Monday.
I have to say, I am thankful that there wasn't an outburst in court. Other than the individual who had an outburst in court, and just like that, the sentencing is done, or not the sentencing is done. Apologies. The verdicts are done. The defendant Darrell Brooks has been found guilty on all counts in the Waukesha parade mass killings and of the bail jumping. He was out on bail when this happened, and on the battery on his ex-girlfriend, who is also the mother of one of his children. So it's going to go back to court on Monday for scheduling. The district attorneys are going to go back to their offices. They are going to probably have a very long day talking to victims' families and others involved in this case and finding out who wants to speak at sentencing and who doesn't, and do that over the next few days, and also take time it's just to talk to those families about what they've been through. Guilty verdicts can be hollow for families that are still very much grieving. And sometimes they think that there's going to be a weight that is lifted off them. And for some there is. And for some there's not, and just more sadness. So the DAs are going to have the task of not just telling and speaking with all those victims' families, but all the injured victims. There are more than 60 that were injured. There are 6 that were killed. These are still going to be long days for the DAs. And they're going to see who wants to talk and give victim impact statements. That is going to be possibly a very long day or multiple long days of victim impact statements. Those are going to be difficult. If it is streamed, we will be here and stream it. It is going to be hard. But I think it's important. I think it's absolutely important. I think this case, and I don't cover a lot of criminal stuff just because of my own background, but as we got into someone representing themselves and questioning their victims and questioning the witnesses, I think talking about this case was important. Talking about these charges is important. And I think this gives you an insight into not just our justice system, but the things that go on when people represent themselves, when they are sovereign citizens, different aspects of our system that we don't always see when you're just reading documents in mostly civil cases. So this is definitely a different kind of case. It's sad. I'm sure there is a sense of justice being served, absolutely, but there's also a heaviness to it. And so thank you all for being here with me. I'm going to go through all the questions. That's kind of what they're going to be doing, figuring out who wants to talk. Brooks is going to have to call people from custody and see who wants to speak on his behalf. People can speak on his behalf for mitigation. He will have the opportunity to speak on his behalf. His closing statement. It's not really a closing argument. His closing argument felt like a sentencing statement to me. His closing arguments felt like he was asking for mitigation. He will ask for that from the court, but he's going to very quickly realize at some point that all of the fucking around in court, all of the extemporaneousness, all of the difficulty, this is the judge that's deciding his sentence. Some of it might be done by statute, but I think what we're going to see is, well, years stacked for all of the counts, um, and then multiple life sentences stacked one after the other, life plus life plus life plus life at the end of the day. So, do you think the DA will make a statement about the verdicts? I don't know. Actually, let me pull back up. Let me monitor what's going on over on Court TV. I know they have cameras outside, I believe, and Shanley Painter's there. So let me just monitor what's going on over there. If the DAs make a statement, I imagine it would be a brief statement saying, we're pleased with the verdict of the jury. Justice has been served. And hopefully the people of Waukesha can heal. Court TV seems like they are no longer live. So let me see if anyone else is still live if they do make a statement, because I am interested, maybe some of the news stations. And then I'll get to some questions. And then we're going to wrap for the day because we have to get a podcast out that I haven't gotten out yet because I wasn't done. So there is still work to be done
what she did going back
over here. So I'm going to oh God, TMJ4 has terrible audio. I'm going to just monitor.
Covered here. We've
All
got
right.
Brian Paulson, who has also been
like
following this.
Fox 6. I'm going to see if there's going to be a statement. If there is a statement, hopefully you guys don't hear this in the background. I'm just going to leave this up. If there is a statement, I'm going to monitor these channels for it, and then I will pull those up. Oh, this is why. So, and then we'll answer questions. So, Linda, I'm sorry YouTube does that. Somebody said there's a press conference at 1 p.m. It's 11:30. We can't go that long. MJ, this is not a death penalty state. So no, that's not on the table. If it was, this would be handled differently. So if there's a press conference happening at 1 p.m., I don't know. I will not be able to cover it because I actually have a meeting to get to in a half an hour. I'm going to get to as much as I can of questions and we'll go from there. But that will be covered and I will cover it on social media. So I'm sure the DA's statement will be this DA has been very, very restrained. This DA could have made much stronger statements in closing, could have been much more dramatic. They were not heavy-handed. I felt that the DA was respectful and not heavy-handed, truly. I've been critical, and it's much easier to be critical when it's your former profession. So I find myself sometimes maybe being too critical on DAs because it's what I did. And maybe a little heavier handed because I'm like, wow, I'm not, I think these DAs were positively restrained. I think they could have done more. They didn't. I'm glad that Darrell Brooks didn't have an outburst in court. I think it's best for everyone. Those moments in court, and it really can be those moments in court, you can feel the energy, it's palpable, and they can turn explosive very quickly. We saw one outburst in the audience. It was a verbal outburst. They were immediately yeeted. So I'm not surprised that happened truly with the amount of families that were impacted by this, but I'm glad that it didn't cause more from Darrell Brooks.
Did a fantastic job
So
of managing.
let's see. Everybody's interviewing a bunch of talking head lawyers that are boring. I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud? A lot of the talking head lawyers are boring. They are. They are. So I'm going to look and see if anyone is outside the courtroom. And I'm seeing
I've known Chief Howard for a long time, and I can't.
Some interviews of family members. I'm going to answer some questions. I'm just going to keep an eye on this. So the audio on TMJ4 News is just freaking terrible. Teresa asked the question people want to know. Do we have any idea why? No, he didn't testify. And so we don't know why. DA speculation why? Well, I think that he stormed off after being angry and upset with the fight with his girlfriend. or his ex-girlfriend. I don't know where it goes from there that you end up driving down a parade route. I truly, truly don't know. Any thoughts on potential mistrial? That's not going to happen. I think the judge ruled this morning that it wasn't going to happen because of Reddit. The Reddit stuff will still be investigated. I've got a few super chats about that. I will answer them the best I can. So I will answer those the best that I can. I'm glad. I'm glad that he didn't have an outburst in court. So, I'm glad. So, let's see. Can his closing statement impact sentencing? I think his behavior in court showed the court who he is. So if he says, I am a good Christian man and my conscience is clear and I have no regrets, I think that's probably in the court's mind when it goes to sentencing, no matter what he says at sentencing. We all heard it. I have never heard anything quite like that. My conscience is clear. I have no regrets. That's what he said in closing. You know what he didn't say in closing? He didn't say it wasn't me. He didn't say I didn't do it. He literally said, who knows why God or Jesus does the things that he does? He did not ever once say it wasn't me. He did not ever once say I didn't do it. What he said is, I have no regrets. That's what he said in closing. So I think the jury probably has no regrets. He didn't ask for a not guilty. He didn't. He didn't say he was sorry. He didn't. He didn't apologize. He said his conscience was clear. I think the jury's conscience is probably pretty clear. And I think that the judge will keep that in mind at sentencing, that he has shown zero remorse, because that is a proper sentencing consideration. And he has shown zero remorse throughout these court proceedings. Zero. Zero. And this morning he was, for what I monitored before I had to get onto, before I got onto calls, he was still arguing about the Reddit stuff. Now, I've got some questions in there. I'll talk about it. He was still arguing for a mistrial. He will get appointed an attorney on appeal. I'm sure someone will take it up on appeal. They can't appeal based on his own representation of himself. That's not available to him because he chose to represent himself, and that is his right. But they can appeal on things like change of venue, should it have been changed. They will appeal. I'm not mad at them appealing. That is part of the process. Do I see anything glaring from what I've watched in this court and what I've seen that goes, oh, that's a problem? No, I don't. The only case really right now that I'm looking at that's like that is the Chrisley case. And we've got a bunch to talk about in that case. And we haven't gotten back to it. So as a DA, how do you keep your face impassive at the end? I was terrible at that. And often I would just look down. I was very bad at that. My face is expressive. I cry. And even if I don't actually cry, I get very red. It's hard. It's hard. I was better at it. Like that part, those walls that were built so well when I left the DA's office, I have worked very hard to bring them back down again. There's no putting them back up. I was better at it when I was more practiced at it, but it is for me, it was very, very difficult. There are cases that mean so much and mean so much to the families. And being tasked with seeking justice for families is heavy. It's very, very heavy. And you put it in the hands of a jury and you do your absolute best. And you hope at the end of the day, the families can find peace. And a lot of times they can't, even with a verdict. So it's hard. The bailiffs were stone-faced. I mean, there are definitely people who are less emotionally expressive than me that are much better at it. I have gotten yelled at about my face. Literally in those words, Miss Baker, your face. It's tempting to respond, Your Honor, your face, which you can't do. But it's hard. It's hard. So Chad, especially over on the Facebooks, I know we don't have as many moderators over there. We keep political commentary off of our channel. So I appreciate that people want to have that conversation. That's not a conversation we're having. This is this case and this community that was devastated by the actions of this defendant. So the second juror polled said yes in bold all caps. I was started a little bit with the vehemence. It's their verdicts is what they get to express to the defendant. This is the only time they get to express how they feel to the defendant. Are these your verdicts? Yes. They can't say fuck yes. They can't say you better fucking, they can't. That very strong yes is how they get to express how they feel about this defendant. There's a lot of disgusting comments going on the TMJ4 chat. I can't stick around. And that's very, very fair. It's why we do what we do here. It's why we have moderators. Our moderators enforce our rules so we can talk about this case without that, because unfortunately the internet will be the internet. The internet will be the internet. The internet will be the internet. I'm sure people are interviewing community members. For our purposes, I'm going to answer questions and then I absolutely have to go. I have to get on another call in just a few minutes. So I can't pretend that I'm not desperately hoping the judge rips into him during sentencing. I don't know if it would help. The judge can make a very strong statement during sentencing about his lack of remorse. I expect we'll see that from the judge. The thing about judges is they have a way of being able to say a lot very powerfully without losing control of themselves. I have seen judges unhinge at sentencing. I don't think we'll see that with this judge. I think we will see this judge really get into you have shown zero remorse. It is clear to me beyond any doubt that you did this and have no remorse for it. I think we will see some strong statements from the judge. So Allie Bear says, my sister loves your top. Where did you get it? This is probably from Torrid. And it is, I put it on this morning. I didn't even think, I thought that I would have time to change before streaming because normally I wouldn't wear ice cream cone skulls for a verdict in a case of this severity, but I was on a Zoom call and did not have time to change because literally as I got off of my Zoom call, I saw my phone saying verdicts are in now. And I'm like, this is now. I had no idea because, again, when I'm on a Zoom call, you have my full attention. Mad props to the unknown stone-faced bailiff. The bailiff was very good. Did you watch the judge's reaction closely during the last recording they played for the jury? It was clear she was fighting emotions. Yes, it was. I imagine everyone in the court was. We heard the sobs during that last video, that 6-minute video, that 6 minutes of silence. I was quiet through part of it because we could hear sobs in the courtroom. We know that the jurors were crying from Chanley Painter, who was in court and reporting that back. We know that jurors were crying during that video. That video was the end, I think, of that closing. And it's why the rebuttal was so short. Thank you for your excellent coverage. I asked previously if he might make an outburst during victim impact statements, what would happen? If he did do that, he would just be removed from the courtroom immediately with bailiffs, aggressively, I would imagine. In front of a jury, it's a little bit different. You don't want to prejudice his rights. That's done now. If they even have a hint that he's going to act around, they'll just put him in the other room. He doesn't have a right to sit in the courtroom at all. And they can sit him in the other room if there's a concern about it. He doesn't have a right to be there. They can put him back in lockup if they want to. Thank you for making time to stream so much of the trial this past week. It has made this a much easier to process. And that's really part of my consideration in deciding what trials to stream and not to stream. So, Emily, do you know how we can donate to support those involved or just Waukesha in general? I don't know. I will look for verified sources. I don't know if there's a community resource center in Waukesha. They are national. They are a charity group that I personally donate to. We've done streams for them. I will look and see what I can vet, and I will share it on social and then share a comment on the community tab to do that. I think that's great. This has been hard. Justice has been done. Now it's time for his fate. Thank you for sharing. I think that, yeah, and again, it's heavy. At one point early this morning, he was pleading for help with his eyes to the judge. I said it yesterday, salvation's his only option. Question, can he ask for a lawyer for sentencing? No. Can he opt out of victim impact statements? Yes. He can opt out of sentencing too. Do you think this was a hate crime? I think if the DAs could prove that it was, they would have charged that too. I trust DAs to charge everything they think they can charge. That's their job. First, thank you for the coverage and making this bearable. So sad all around. Question, what does multiple life sentences mean really? Is it just the principle? No. If there's ever appeals that go to one or not the other, then it can also be to prevent against like, oh, well, this case is unique because it all is the one transaction. Normally, when you have multiple homicides, they're kind of different. I hate to say transactions, they're different series of events. This was all one series of event, but if an appellate court found somehow, and this is just by way of example, that one of the counts couldn't have been proven or there was something up with it and they dismissed it, well, then there's still 4 other life counts. So why even bother retrying it? Because they're all stacked. So multiple life sentences really means that you're never getting paroled. You're never getting out. It is life without parole, essentially. And in case there's appeals, it doesn't really affect anything. Rebecca said, I cried listening to the verdicts. I cried for the victims, for the families, for the prosecutors, for the judge, and everyone traumatized by this. I'm sure this is a community that's been devastated. I wanted him to be convicted, but I still feel sad for him. There are no winners. And that's the hard thing with criminal justice is it doesn't undo it and it doesn't stop it. Thank you so much. Rob posted a verified GoFundMe sites last week. I'll go look. I'll go look at Rob's GoFundMe's. I trust if Rob has vetted it. Twitter thinks it was Nicholas Kirby who shouted. If it was, I'm sure Nicholas Kirby will tell us. He's done interviews, and his last interview, and I'll share that in the community tab too. His last interview that I saw was heartbreaking because he felt responsible, and he's not responsible for what somebody else did, but he felt responsible, and that hurt my heart for him too. So we'll see. I mean, again, Chanley Painter was in court. I'm sure she will tell us. Let's see. I've got like 2 more minutes. Any idea on what grounds he might appeal the verdict? No, but we'll see. And I'll cover it when we do, if we want to cover it. Change of venue is the first one that comes to mind. If you were defending him, would you have asked for a change of venue? Yes. Seeing that there were so many deaths and victims. Yes, I would have. His team did, and it was denied. His team asked for that. But also, I don't always think of all the things defense attorneys might because I wasn't a defense attorney. Even when I think of what I would do as a defense attorney, I'm thinking of it through the lens as a prosecutor as what would a defense attorney possibly do and what do I need to be prepared for? Because I've never worked as a defense attorney. Natalie, Lawyer Chick, is a great defense attorney here on YouTube. So she can kind of see it through that lens. Question, do you pay for your own appeals lawyer? No. Or can you get a public defender? It depends on the jurisdiction, how that works, but the public defender's office normally has an appellate division that covers that. So yes, he can have appellate counsel appointed. Celeste said, if this was a death penalty case, would they have allowed him to represent himself? Yes, he has an absolute right to represent himself, but it could be bifurcated where he could have represented himself in the guilt phase and then have attorneys for the penalty phase. This is what we just saw in the Nicholas Cruz case. They were just doing the penalty phase to decide whether it was life without parole or death. And they could have done that here. They could have appointed someone for the penalty phase and might have done so. So Viking Wolf by Blood, I marched in band and in many parades while in high school. I did too. Which is yesterday, that audio was so freaking chilling. I did too. I was talking with one of my dear friends who's also on my team about this. I also have a kid in band who was just marching in parades literally last weekend. So I think everyone can imagine this being in a community, but it's very, very visceral when you've done this. And the photos of the car going through the band kids just fucking wrecked me yesterday. It really, really did. I don't know. Those comments are not going to come up. We're definitely not going to, and those comments should have been deleted if anyone's talking about assaults and wishing harm on anyone. It's really hard with this defendant. His life will not be pleasant. His freedom is being taken, and that is the end of that. So just want to say thank you so much for covering this. Couldn't make it without you. Thank you. Please be sure you're caring for yourself. I am. I absolutely am, but it's also why I'm slow and mindful when I decide to cover criminal stuff. And I really do love doing live trial coverage, but we'll get back to documents soon. Not tomorrow. We've streamed so much that tomorrow's live stream, we're just gonna put we're gonna just put out the podcast video tomorrow. Will the jury be put on gag order? They were not. They were told they can talk if they want to. Will he try subject matter jurisdiction again? He tried it this morning. Did they readdress Reddit earlier? They did. Sorry, all of us. They did readdress Reddit earlier this morning in the first hour. You can go back in the court streams and watch the beginning. And he was very concerned about it. But the court also updated that post updated that this was all a hoax going on. Judy over on Facebook asked a great question. Can the Reddit poster be charged with obstruction of justice? I don't think it's obstruction. I need to look at the statute in this particular. So do not say, Emily said this could happen. My brain goes to interference with a jury. So with jury tampering or jury interference, that's kind of where my brain goes. I need to look at the statute for this, for Wisconsin, because I haven't. But that's where my mind would go if they are looking at someone they want to prosecute more than just figuring out who did it and a stern warning. But if they are going to look to prosecute someone, it might be that interference with official things like that, if they're trying to tamper with the jury. But sometimes those statutes involve direct interaction with the jury, not posting something on a form. Our laws take a while to catch up to our laws take a while to catch up to our digital age. But I will say things like the Reddit post are why we're not going to have nice things. Lawyers are going to look at that and be like, Your Honor, we can't stream this trial because when you do, these types of things happen. We had a fake juror come forward on social media in the Heard Depp case. Those types of things coming up are reasons attorneys will argue against cameras in the courtroom. Cameras in the courtroom, I think, are vital to our system of justice being transparent. I'm a huge proponent for things streaming, and there are ways to work around cases of particularly sensitive natures. But for a lot of cases, people should be able to see what is happening, and there's just not the physical space in a courtroom for everyone. So those kinds of things just give fodder to those who want to keep cameras out of the courtroom, and I hate that. I want cameras in the courtroom. I want cameras in the courtroom. I do. So, question, will he be guilty of the hit and runs even though he was guilty of the homicides? Yes. So here's the question. And again, Natalie Wisco, who is so generous with her time, reached out and was like, if you have any questions, and this is probably what I will ask her. I think, and again, I will pull the statutes, that the hit and runs causing death can still be sentenced with the homicides, whether they will choose to or not, because they are two different charges, but the facts kind of overlap. So I will need to look and see if this is a lesser included or not. So yes, he can be found guilty, but whether he can be sentenced on both the first degree murders with the vehicle and the hit and runs causing death with the vehicle, whether he can be sentenced on both of those is probably a moot point with how many charges he has anyway, but that's a function of law, whether it's a lesser included or not. This was much more easy to discuss in like the Josh Duggar case where there were only two counts, the primary count and the underlying count, and they were lesser included of each other. You can only charge on the one count. There's so many charges. If you can charge on both or not, almost is irrelevant. What do you think sentencing will be? All. Did you see that at 8:30 he asked for a mistrial? Yes, I did. I tweeted it out. I was looking at that this morning while I was getting ready. Can't they compile all the guilty verdicts so it doesn't take 20 years to finish? No, they can't. They have to read every single charge. What's the most counts anyone's ever been charged with? I have no idea. I've had cases with lots of counts, never this many. Showed no mercy to the victims. He did not. This is justice for the victims. I hope it feels like that to them. I hope it feels like at least there's responsibility. Can he represent himself on appeal? Oh, God. I don't even think he could get through the procedure. I think his appeal would just get yeeted because there's so much. They pulled the jury out or polled the jury. And what polling the jury means is that making sure each juror that this is their verdicts. Sometimes when you poll the jurors, you get someone who's like, no, I thought that's not what I thought we did. And you're like, what? So I'm glad they pulled the jury. Anyway, you ever see anyone have you ever seen anyone's rights to testify forfeited? I've seen people choose not to testify. I've never seen a trial quite like this. I've never seen a trial quite like this. Is there ever a situation where you would be okay with someone representing themselves in court? They get to choose. Isn't it always ending bad? Well, not in traffic court. No, it's their rights. It's their right. It's their right to choose. If they want to be the one that is steering their ship, even though they've never sailed before, that is on you. You could end up in peril at sea very quickly. I wonder if he expected this. I don't think so. I don't think he expected it. I think that he did not expect this. I think he thought he did something with his closing. Victim impact statements are going to be very, very rough. I will have lots of warnings about victim impact statements for sure. So I will absolutely. Pour the mega pints. I don't care if it's still morning. This was just a secondhand embarrassing trial. It was, I don't think it was embarrassing for the court or the DA. I really think they did an excellent job. For the defendant, yes, I do think it was embarrassing. I don't know if he knew it was all streamed. I don't think he quite appreciated that because we saw it yesterday when he got kind of giddy about the fact that this was being streamed. I don't know if he really appreciated all of that. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. First live I've caught you at, you've been excellent at covering this trial. Thanks. And watching your show is always a highlight. Thank you. I know every time we cover a live trial, people are like, wait, don't we do daily streams? And then we have to go back to not doing daily streams and then we'll see. I can't imagine how the community will feel going to this year's parade. I hope it's healing. How do you ever go to one again? I hope it's healing. Truly. I hope it's healing. I hope it's healing. I was told by a DA if my marriage was that bad, why did I not leave? I'm sorry for that, Kimberly. That's not what you should have been told. Ever. I'm sorry. Today, I'm just going to say today's podcast, we go over the opening statements in the Weinstein case. And they pissed me right the fuck off. So you're going to hear that today. Will the Reddit post be a reason for appeal? They might try to put it in there, but I don't know if it's going to fly. That's why that investigation is not going to end. They are going to find who posted that. Will future trials ever refer to Wisconsin v. Brooks possibly as case law for anything? Possibly as well, only if the issues are vetted on appeal, though. The issues have to be vetted on appeal. So if the issues are vetted on appeal, like putting him in the timeout muty box, whether that's the same as literally gagging someone, then possibly. All right, y'all. Unfortunately I have to go because this is a meeting I cannot miss. And it is important to me. So I have got to go. I do not anticipate streaming later today. Others will probably stream the press conference at 1 p.m. That's in about an hour. So I will have to go. Do you put your podcast on YouTube? Yeah. They are there. Hogue is going to stream since you can't the press conference at Hogue Law. There we go. Oh, Hogue's like, I'm on it. Thank you, Hogue. Hogue will be streaming over on his channel at Hogue Law. He was on the channel last night. So Hogue will be streaming the press conference. You guys, Hogue's chat is very, very much like our chat. A lot of similar rules. So, C's Dolly, we support you. Are you okay? I am okay. I talk about the fact that I was a deputy district attorney for over 10 years. And there are still things there. And I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not afraid to talk about that. I just don't want to dump it on y'all. But there are things that just hit in the gut because the conversations that these DAs are going to be having after this trial are conversations I've had. Just I haven't had to have nearly as many of them as they have. You can just feel it. So send us over to Hogue Law on Facebook. I don't know if he also co-streams on Facebook. He's here on YouTube at Hogue Law, and then his links will be here and the links in last night's stream as well when he was on the panel. To all of you who I didn't get to answer, I apologize. I don't believe it was a juror that made the outburst. That would potentially be a problem. Thank you for streaming despite your busy schedule. I love being with this community for my birthday. Happy birthday. You've helped me grow this year. I went from sweeping at a hair salon to being a civil appeals legal assistant. Elena, get it. I hope that you're very happy with what you're doing. Congratulations. Nicholas, good to see you. May Mr. Brooks only see sunlight in a cross pattern. Well, we don't know why God does what they do. Hopefully he takes that approach with being sentenced. This is just God's will. Hopefully he just embraces that. I don't think that he will, but hopefully he does. And with that, y'all, thank you for being here. Thank you for being honored. Sorry for the short one today, but we have got to go. Mods, thank you. Yesterday was a very long day, and we will see you all in the next one. Check out the podcast at The Emily Show. I am at The Emily D. Baker all over social. Okay, bye. Connect with me everywhere. I'm at The Emily D. Baker. If you guys want to join the text, just text Emily.com. If you want to join the channel, lawnerdsunite.com. Happy to have you. Support what we do here on the YouTube.